Hello and welcome to this episode of Not Just Ghost Stories. I am your host Josh, joined by Jackie and Laura. We are a small team of experienced paranormal investigators, and here we discuss different locations that we've investigated, along with a little history and the evidence that we have found. Today, we will be talking about the one that everyone, I think, knows about, Waverly Hills in Louisville, Kentucky. Laura, could you give us a little history on Waverly Hills?
Sure. Most people know of Waverly Hills Sanitarium as a TB hospital, but its history actually began back in 1883 when Major Thomas H. Hayes purchased the land for his home. At that time, the land was well outside of Louisville and any schools. Major Hayes had 2 daughters with his first wife, and after her death, he remarried and had 6 with his second wife. So he had to find a place for a school and hire teachers so his children and others that lived out around him could get an education. The teacher he hired loved the Waverly Hills series by Walter Scott, and she named the school Waverly School. Major Hayes liked the name so well that he called his home Waverly Hills. In the early 1900s Louisville, because of the river and the wetlands, it was hit hard by TB. In 1910, Major Hayes sold the property, and a 2-story wooden building was erected to accommodate patients suffering with TB. In 1912, TB patients were relocated to Waverly Hills. As the sanatorium filled up with patients, they were then housed in tents, and in December of 1912, they opened a hospital for the advanced cases that could hold up to 40 people. In 1924, they began the construction of the 5-story bricks and stone building, which would house 400 patients. And that is the Waverly Hills we see today. With the introduction of streptomycin in 1943, TB could be cured and cases began to drop. Waverly Hills closed its doors in 1961. In 1962, it was reopened as the Woodhaven Geriatric Center. Wasn't a very nice place to be. It had a lot of people with dementia, mental issues, and the center was then closed in 1982 due to patient neglect. In 1983, the hospital was bought by J. Clifford Todd and then sold to Robert, I think that's Alberhasky, in 1996. And he was going to use the land for his Christ the Redeemer Foundation. He was going to erect a 150-foot tall statue of Christ on top of the building and convert the inside to a chapel and gift shop. The budget was $4 to $8 million, and unfortunately, the donations fell short in the first year, with only $3,000 raised. So in 1997, the project was canceled. In 2001, Waverly Hills was sold to the Mattingly. Originally, they had plans to renovate and make it into a hotel. They started offering paranormal tours to help with the cost. Tours, private and public, are still offered. The site is now run by the Waverly Hills Historical Society.
All right. Thank you for the history, Laura. It just seems it goes from 2 different opposite ends of the spectrum on that, with the guy who wanted to build it as basically a Christian retreat, and then going to the paranormal side on the opposite side of that. It's kind of almost comical to me.
He might have made it with a bit smaller of a statue, maybe.
At least the smaller price tag.
It's something. Okay, so this podcast will be a little bit different because we will say that for one, it was my first paranormal hunt with Jackie. But as you know, you heard, Laura was actually not at this paranormal hunt. So Laura's going to be asking us some questions about how we felt about this whole entire experience, and kind of controlling the podcast from this point. So Laura?
Well, I've never been there, obviously. So I guess I would like to know just how big is it?
Huge. 5 stories. With a basement.
Yeah.
Basement.
It did have a basement style area into it, along with the death chute that runs off of that basement down to the road below the hill there. But I can remember driving up to it, and when you first get up to the gate, you actually cannot see the building until you drive down the road after they open the gate. And when we were pulling up to it, I went, oh, wow, okay, this place is a whole lot bigger than I thought. You see it on TV and in pictures, and you're like, oh, okay. And just to walk it alone, I felt like you're walking miles through the building because it's just long hallways with these doorway offshoots on both sides of you, and it's just overwhelmingly large.
So when you first get there, do they give you any sort of tour with the size of the location that would give you a heads up of where you should be?
They do.
Yeah, they have to. You could get lost in there. There's only certain. Well, at the time that we went, there was only certain stairwells that you could actually go down. They were doing repairs on other ones. There was an elevator in the building. Wanted to show people where the elevator shaft was because they wanted to make sure nobody fell down it.
Because some homeless had fallen down it.
Yeah. So there is some dangerous parts. So they want to walk you through everything. Even the walkthrough itself, I think it took about 45 minutes just to walk through the whole entire building, closer to an hour. They were kind of explaining some activity that was happening on the floors from the top all the way down to the bottom, but didn't really elaborate on a whole lot. Just the tour itself took that long.
Well, after the tour and you had your plan, where did you guys start?
We went back to a room because you had felt on the walkthrough a small child was in there.
Yeah.
We were on the first floor. Well, what's considered the first floor.
Yeah. It was considered the first floor. It's actually, I guess you would call it more the second floor of it. Because when they have it attached through like a tunnel, so where your setup area would be, where they actually have electric and you can sit down and take a break and everything else. So you walk through this tunnel and you actually start in the basement. So we had to walk upstairs in that first floor. We just started walking down through. Like I said, what I will say is this was my first real big one. I didn't have any of my equipment. Jackie said, don't worry about it, rely on mine. And I never realized how much equipment she actually had. So
that part I can attest to.
I am married to Tech Jeff.
Yep, that is true. But trying to figure out myself in this whole entire place was just a feat all in its own. So yeah, we ended up starting on first floor and said, well, we'll work our way up, I guess, from here, trying to find whatever evidence we could.
We took a dandy and went into that room where you had felt the presence of a little boy. Mm-hmm. Tried to get him to interact with the dandy, but I think we might have scared him away.
Yeah. I mean, there was a few toys on that, just trying to get him to hit a ball and trying to get him to do something. But by the time we got back, it was like, no, didn't feel like a whole lot was happening there.
No, and I should say, this is not, people are thinking, oh, that was Timmy. Timmy is up on the fourth floor. This is a little boy we encountered on the first floor. I believe it was not Timmy.
I would say there's multiple children there. I mean, they had a children's pavilion built in that could hold, like, I think up to 50 beds just for kids.
Yeah.
Some of them had TB. Some of them were just there because their guardian was there for TB, which unfortunately I don't think they understood how fast that spread. Yeah. So if the kids were there, if they didn't have it, chances are I would think that they did end up with it. So
yeah.
Same way all the nurses and doctors were housed on the property because a lot of them came down with TB.
Yeah.
We spent some time with Timmy, and then I think we worked our way upstairs because, of course, everybody wants the fourth floor where the there's two different shadows there. One is, I believe they call him Big Black, and they think he was a black person that had TB, and he would come over to this hospital to get the food to take to because we're talking back in the early 1900s, black people and white people were still segregated. He would take the food back to the hospital that was for the black TB patients. Well, he's there now, and he's a little possessive about his fourth floor. I've run into him before. He actually chased me off the fourth floor.
Yeah.
And then I realized that if I stop running, he stops. And we did sort of talk, but he doesn't really talk that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Now-
you have mentioned that there's two distinct shadows, the boy that Josh felt, and then a different one named Timmy. So is there a set number of ghosts that are there that are the only ones that are ever there, or is there a lot more going on other than the ones that are just pushed forward?
There's a lot more going on, but the big black is almost always there. I've been there 3 times. You go up to that 4th floor, you're going to encounter him. Timmy, I've not had any interaction with him, but the first time Tina got her leg tugged by a little boy, there's a ball up there. You can often see the ball move, and a lot of people do have seen him and stuff. So these are the ghosts that are more well known. If you go up to the 5th floor, that's where the nurse supposedly hung herself. You will, I don't know if you'll encounter her, but you will encounter some spirits there also. And then,
But well, with the nurse, let's go back to the nurse real quick. Supposedly, you said supposedly she hung herself. There's different reports
right,
as to what exactly happened. One was she got pregnant by a doctor. The doctor, I think, was married and didn't want anything to do with the nurse, so that's why she hung herself. One was she contracted tuberculosis and didn't want to die like that, so she just did it on her own terms. There's so many different reports, and then there's actually no actual record of her hanging herself, is there?
no.
Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things. Did she do it? Did she not? Is she hanging around up there? Because people have claimed to see a nurse. Now, I will say that when we were investigating different floors, specifically the 3rd floor, from what I can remember, standing down at the end of the hallway, and you would see shadows going from one side into rooms and then back out of rooms, going back into this certain area. And after walking down toward where the shadows were going in and out of, it turned out to be a nurse's station. That they were running in and out of. So it's just like almost a residual style type of hunt in that area where they're actually just taking care of patients. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're doing what they knew throughout life of taking care of people. So, but that one particular nurse it was 5th floor, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That one there, she is one that supposedly stays around quite a bit, I believe, is what I was told.
I did get, not on that trip to Waverly, but I think my first one. The thing is, she hung herself outside of room 502. Well, right now, 502 is a bathroom. So I think that's probably been a little messed up. But I was doing an EVP session. I asked her, why did she hang herself? And would she do anything different? And I got an EVP that says I would have done it differently.
Yeah.
Wow. So something happened.
Yeah.
For somebody. Yeah. So it sounds like all these spirits that you've spoken with all were originally living people. But did you encounter anything there that was not previously human?
Yep.
Yes.
Where was that at?
Was that 3rd floor? 3rd or 4th?
It was 3rd
Maybe
or 4th.
2nd.
No, it was 2nd floor, actually. So again, this was my first big ghost hunt. I had been on, seen things happen, throughout life and everything else, but this was my first real ghost hunt. Jackie, do you want to explain? Because you explain it a whole lot better than I do.
I was just going to say, you want me to explain? Because you don't come out real good
I
in
do
this
not
story.
come out good in this story.
The Waverly Hills is built, it's like the stairs come up and then the hallway goes left and right, pretty much in a straight line, but it does have a curve to it. We had walked down to the end of the hallway. We turned around. I was standing on the inside. Josh was on the outside of me. And I saw this huge, amorphous, dark blob going along the ceiling about halfway down the hall. It came to about the halfway point and went down the wall and then morphed into this tall, thin man. When it became that tall, thin man, there had to be about 30 shadows coming from everywhere. to crowd around him. I said,
That's creepy.
in my best language, to Josh, "What the fuck is that?" Josh said, "What?" And I realized because of the curve of the hall, he couldn't see, so I kind of grabbed him, shoved him where I was, and I think he said, "What the hell is that?"
Yes, that was my terms. Because I'll take over for this for a second, because again, being there for the first time and being this, like I said, real one, I looked at it and said, I mean, I was almost in amazement, because it was never anything I'd ever encountered before. I had seen spirits, I had seen mist, I had seen residual, I'd seen
Right.
doors open and close and everything else, but this was different. And I had to rely on Jackie, and at this point, I'll let her continue the story.
So I looked at Josh because, I'm kind of, the grasshopper needs to leave the garden. I said, as ghost hunters, we got to go check it out. And he said,
I believe my exact words.
I dragged him down the hallway.
I believe my exact words were, "The hell we do." Because I was like, "I'm not walking toward it." And she said, "We have to."
He got dragged towards it.
Yeah.
So how did it react when you started approaching?
Everything disappeared.
Mm-hmm. But it was almost the amorphous. It was not even they were just crowding around him. They were almost crawling on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Which was the weirdest part to me. They were on the walls. They were on the ceiling. They were on the floor. And it was almost like no light behind them.
Were they a part of him, you think? Or
No,
did
they
he have
came-
some sort of control? Like, were they worshiping him?
It looked like worshiping him, but they came from Waverly Hills has an inside hall. Then they have an outside hall, and that's the one that everybody sees in pictures. There's no windows. They put the patients out there. They believe fresh air would cure them. I mean, he came on the inside hall, and then, like I say, got halfway, and then he formed into like a tall, thin, human type shadow. From outside and from inside, the inside rooms, all these other shadows just came and sort of surrounded him, almost like worshiping.
Well, and so that almost, are they worshiping him? Is he collecting? Is the next question, or is he a magnet for them? There's a lot of questions around it, and of course, by the time we got down there, we couldn't really answer those questions because we weren't getting any responses from them. But I can tell you my heart was racing because I didn't know what to do. I'm kind of just following Jackie's lead. But that was kind of the questions that came to my mind is, okay, are they worshiping, or are they coming to back him up? Is he collecting them, or are they drawn to him because of whatever reason?
That could be too. Maybe he has more energy that they needed and stuff. And I described him as a thin, dark shadow in man shape, but I can't tell you what he is. Was he demonic? No. And never once did he threaten us, except his mere presence was threatening. But other than that, he's well known there. I know I've heard stories. You don't want him to go through you because you'll lose some time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when we ended up deciding not long after that to go take a break, so we went back down to the room. The lady owner, I believe, was there that night. So Jackie went and talked to her and said, "Have you ever seen something like this?" And that's when she said, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
And you have to kind of watch what you're doing with him, because if he ends up passing through, she's like, and she hadn't had it happen to her. She lost time. She lost all track of time. I think almost an hour of time she just totally lost, is what she had said.
That's crazy. You got to wonder what went on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, my assumption was going to be that you took a break from there and attempted to regroup.
Yeah. Now we ended up, like I said, the building's huge, so trying to get through it all is crazy. The 5th floor, that's supposedly where a lot of children are. That's where the nurse is. We did a lot trying to figure out the homeless man that fell down the elevator shaft. I think we did a lot of that from the third and fourth floor, trying to figure out exactly where exactly he's at. The sad part about that story is the dog
died too.
Yeah.
Aw.
So, we're like, we just want to see your dog. We kind of don't care about you. We want to see your dog.
So
No, you wanted the homeless man. I just wanted the elevator to go ding and open up onto nothing. Because I'm pretty sure I would have been running by then.
So did he give you all any responses?
No.
No, he did not. Other people that night. Now, when you go to Waverly Hills, you want to go in a larger group. It is a little expensive to do, but if you can break down that cost amongst people, and I think they want 10 at a time, right?
Yes.
So.
Oh, no, you can have more than 10.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think the original cost is for up to 10 people on that right now. So, we had a larger group there. I think a few others that night ended up getting some type of response from him on different floors. But we, as far as on our side, no, we didn't get any type of response.
So I've heard some scary tales about the basement, like the body chute. Is that what they refer to it as?
Yeah.
Yeah. We did walk all the way down the body chute. We walked all the way to the bottom of it. Weird noises. I will say that there were some odd noises in front of us as we were walking down and behind us as we were walking down. I don't think we ever got anything EVP wise or.
Yeah, I've always, they always refer to the body chutes or the morgue. And yeah, I guess you're kind of attached to where you die, but really, would you hang out in where your dead body went?
Well, a lot of people also don't realize about the body chute. They call it the body chute, but it was not built to be that at first.
Oh.
So the reason why it was built is because they didn't want to bring, a healthy person that's delivering goods up into an area where, tuberculosis is very highly contagious.
Yeah, I'm sure they didn't have
And
any people willing to do that.
Yeah, a lot of delivery people didn't want to do it. So what it was a way to get goods up and to get things back down in order for, to have, food and to have, clothing and bed sheets and medicines and everything else that they needed up there. That's what it was originally made for. The thing is they had so many people that were passing away, and there is a graveyard on the property, but I don't think it's very big, right? Back behind it.
I'm not really sure where it is, but yeah, I've heard there has been a graveyard.
So, but, they had to have a way to transport the people out of there that they could no longer take care of, or had passed away. So the easiest way to do it was that way too.
Well, if you think about it, you're sick and your nurse comes, says, oh, you're going to be fine, and you're laying there outside in the fresh air watching dead people being taken out. It's kind of demoralizing. Mm-hmm. So they would take them down the body chute.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of hides them. And we did lay in the morgue in the cold box.
Every paranormal person does that, which I got to say is weird, but
it is.
You really have to do it because it is like a whole different world in there.
It is. It's almost like being transported. Once you're in there and like the door's closed, you're kind of like, where am I? It was a total different feeling.
Yeah, like you don't hear the people outside. You're hearing different things.
Mm-hmm. And then on the first floor was the vault. Was that the first floor or the basement area?
Oh, yeah, that was way back there. You did redeem yourself when you took off after that white shadow.
I did. I think after that, I kind of just realized, okay, I have to find that. And we were sitting inside of it, and you can't really hear anything outside of this vault. It's a thick concrete, white insulated. They called it the vault. I don't know what it was there for. I don't know the whole entire story of it.
I believe it was a vault. When people came there, all their possessions needed to be stored somewhere. So
yeah. So we were sitting inside there. We're watching. I'm kind of watching out the door because there was only one door in and one door out. And I just saw something run by. It was not a person. It was a white mystic shadow thing. And I said, "Oh, I'm gonna catch it," and did. I took off running. I think I might have scared. There was one other person with us. I think I might have scared him when I just jumped up and took off. And I went through. There was a curtain. I ran through the curtain because I wanted to see if it was somebody just messing with us. Tried to look all around and couldn't find anything from that. I think that was all that came out of that one. That's although, however, they do have a haunted house that runs in Waverly. That's on that floor too. So when you go behind one of the curtains, they have this big thing that looks like, I think it was Satan sitting on a throne.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So when you open up that curtain, don't get scared. It's
That's
just
the complete opposite of that other statue that was going to be put in there.
And also, because you said this was a white shadow, which I have run into. Most people think shadow people are black, and most of them are. But every once in a while, you'll find a white one. I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah.
That was going to be my question. Why do you think some are white, some are not?
The only thing I can think of that would, and now with things that I've learned up to this point, would be the type of energy. That's the only thing that I would be able to see that would change a shadow from a dark shadow to a light shadow, would be type of energy.
Yeah, now we're not saying that the black shadow people are evil. Most shadow people come out dark for some reason, not evil. We're not saying good and evil here. We're saying different energy. The white is a different type of energy.
Yeah. Which, I mean, could, even be, people get their batteries drained, from their equipment. Phones, if you have a cell phone on you, anything that you have with you is a different type of energy from a natural energy that you're going to get out into a source, even an energy in a person. So if that thing like to draw from people or things, it could be showing as a different type of energy compared to something that's a more natural energy in the air that's naturally ionized.
Well, let me ask you a question because I just got to thinking about this. The white ball of energy, I saw it was a ball of energy, but it was, you kind of felt that it was a person. Around its edges, you see shadow people and they are like a silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
The white person had like little energy, like little suns.
Yes.
Was your white person that?
Yes. I don't want to call it orb because it wasn't in a circle. It wasn't in an oval shape or anything else like that. It had a form, but it was a very fuzzy, I guess you can say, style form.
Yeah. So that might be the difference between black and white. What it means, we don't know yet.
Could even come down to something as simple as maybe the other colors are animals or...
Well, it felt human.
No.
The one I saw felt human.
Yeah, this one here was, if it was an animal, let's say if it was a dog, it was a 4.5 foot, 5 foot dog. It was big.
Maybe it's just more along the lines of just like the living, it's an aura.
Or maybe it's a younger spirit.
Yeah.
Not as in, 5, 6, or 7, but hasn't been, I don't want to say dead long, doesn't know how to control its energy.
This is a good question for us to use in the future when we have someone that's responding to us.
True.
See if they happen to know what's going on.
See, we're always thinking of ghost hunts, even when we're talking about something.
Well, now, Josh, you did not catch that one, but obviously we're going to have to catch one to question it. So you better start working out.
I guess I'm going to have to run faster.
To get some way to keep it with you.
Well, that thing was fast, I will say that. And they have the ability to walk through things where I actually have to move things to walk around it. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid rule.
So I know that we're trying to start planning an upcoming trip to Waverly so that I can finally do it as well. And some people have said that there's demons there. So I'm going to ask the two of you if that's something that I need to be prepared for when we go.
No.
I've been there 3 times. I've never run into a demon. You will run into that black thing that will make you stop and go, But it's not a demon.
Now, I mean, at the same time, people that were bad in life or bad in death. You know, so you're going to find somebody who's just not a happy person. Are they evil? No. Are they mean? Oh, yeah. I mean, I've ran into plenty of mean old men or mean old women on the street, face to face, that are alive, and they can be the same way in death too. But I mean, even with this being my first ghost hunt, I think that if we found something demonish, Jackie wouldn't have put me into a situation where she thinks that there would have been something there to.
You all can't see it, but Jackie's got a really weird smirk on her face. So I just wanted to point that out.
Well, see, now that's where we get into a total different story, because I know she would kill me for painted ponies.
Yes,
okay,
but for demons, no.
But for demons, I don't think she would kill me.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ponies, though, she's got several ways to get those in place of you.
But I do want to say that the shadow they call the Big Black, he is human, and he's grumpy.
Yeah.
That's all he is. And he did, I ran. Well, I didn't run. I walked quickly.
Yeah. Well, he's
off
imposing.
the fourth floor. But when I went back on the fourth floor, I thought, nope, I'm not going to do that. I got to the top of the stairs, and I stopped and turned around. And I said, talk to me. What do you want from me? Like I say, he didn't talk, but he stopped too. He did not keep coming.
Yeah, I mean, he's an imposing being. He tries to impose himself onto you. However, he's still human, right? So he can actually perceive himself as bigger than what he actually is. So he can spread his energy to make himself fill up a whole entire hallway to scare you. Mm-hmm. He can come at you quick. He can come at you slow. He can do whatever he wants to do. He's just a grumpy old man, is what he is.
So
now, I stopped at the fifth floor, top of the stairs, the fifth floor. He came to the landing of the fourth. He would not come upstairs. So I think he stays on the fourth.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other locations in that building that stuck out for you?
The whole building.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
You'd just be walking along and you catch something. Well, I believe, I think it was Carrie and Andy wanted to go down the body chute, and you went down, and I'm lazy. I'm like, I ain't climbing those steps again. So I sat at the top, and it was amazing. You guys came back, and Carrie's like, oh, we didn't see anything. I'm like, I sat here watching shadows crossing back and forth in front of me.
Yeah.
Behind us. So, but down while we were down there was nothing. It was, we turned around, we wouldn't see anything, but it was also, the body chute is a very long tunnel. When we look up, we can't see Jackie. That's how long it is, and then that's how dark it gets down inside there. So we couldn't really see anything, but she had enough where she was able to see stuff from the top, which is a pretty interesting thing, I think, overall.
So, yeah, you do have to walk down the body chute. I know it's stairs and stuff, but they're not too bad, and you can stop and rest and stuff, but you do have to at least go down to the bottom just to satisfy yourself. The first time I went down there, coming back up, I was in the lead, and I'd hear my footsteps, Tina's footsteps, Robin's footsteps, and more footsteps. So I'd go up, and I'd stop. Tina would stop. Robin would stop. Footsteps kept on behind Robin going until they got up to where he was, then they would stop.
Huh.
Yeah.
So they obviously can see you.
Yeah. I mean, there's no one place in that. I mean, every single square inch of that building has something going on in it, whether it's residual or whether it's intelligent, whether it's mean, whether it's nice. There's something going on at every single square inch of that building. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. To this point, I mean, we've had some really, really cool ghost hunts, but thinking back to it, it's just like you're going to find something.
It's overwhelming, I guess, and it's just the thrill of the overall.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's everything. The first time I was there, she took us into the cafeteria, and I've worked in a kitchen. In the middle of this kitchen was a commercial oven. I know because I've worked in a kitchen. It's not hooked up. It's sitting there, but I could smell the baking of fresh bread in a place that hadn't had anything baked in it in years.
It's always fascinating when you get the smells.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally Waverly Hills. It's, one of the most haunted places in the world, is one of the things they boast and everything else. It is a very interesting place just to go, and I mean, even during the daytime, just to see how the size of the building. And would guarantee you'd probably see some type of activity during the day, whether it's day, night,
Well, yeah, that's a huge misconception. If they're there at night, they're there in the day.
Yeah.
Not according to my daughter. She tells me ghosts don't come out during the day.
That's right. That's right. She's special though.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, as far as like equipment on this place, you throw whatever you got at it. I mean, there's no one piece that's better than the other piece. If you go down to REM pods, the Dandy, of course, you're always going to have your flashlight. You're always going to have your recorder and everything else like that. But as far as me, there's no one star piece of equipment that I would use. I would just say, okay, everything that I have in my case.
I would say because it is so thoroughly ghost hunted by so many teams that they know how to interact with everything.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But it's well worth going.
Yeah, and you have to go. It's one of those things, as a ghost hunter, even not as a ghost hunter, it's someplace you have to see, I would say.
We're starting the plan.
Yep. Safe ghost hunt?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you haven't been there, Laura. It's a safe ghost hunt.
Yep. Good to know.
All right. Any last words about Waverly Hills?
Nope. Like I say, everybody's heard of it. Everybody wants to go, and everybody should.
Yep. I agree with that. All right. And with that, this has been Not Just Ghost Stories. I've been your host, Josh.
Laura.
And Jackie.
And until next time, you can find information and contact us on our website at notjustghoststories.com and see evidence that we've found on today's discussion at Facebook at Not Just Ghost Stories. Thanks.